I am James Kogel,
Alex and
this is the Fermi Simulation. Alright, introduction. So major organizations are starting to look into human exploration of space. There's always been government organizations that have looked into it, like NASA, but now it's open to the private industry. So places like Jupiter's moon Europa have some characteristics that are favorable to life, and other planets could be potential settlers for humanity's future. So we are going to design a simulation that will look for specific features on these planets. For instance, liquid water, carbon dioxide, trace elements, and reasonable gravitational forces so that the organisms can survive.
so our point, driving force behind this is to, like he said, mentioned, create a simulation that it takes like points from like a theoretical planet, and it will apply those to a living creature, so that we can see if the creature can survive with a planet that has these characteristics.
So for the research process, we are going to use a simulation created using either NetLogo or Repath Symphony, which are both simulation programs, but they're broad enough that we can it allows us to tighten it down to exactly what we're looking for. They're both based off Java, which we both have experience with, so it should be something that we would get to actual demonstration level by the time that it's the final round. And we're going to monitor the simulation and track the sustainability of life on these hypothetical planets and see if the simulation works correctly.
So obvious applications for our product here would be these organizations you mentioned earlier, like private industry looking into space, notable company SpaceX, and government associations like NASA. And
we also have research institutions added there at the end, because I realized at the last second that it would be an excellent thing for students and maybe even the astronomy club to have a tool like this to mess around with, see what they can do. Here are our sources.
All right. Questions to you guys? So how many variables have you already identified? So you mentioned about carbon dioxide, water. You mentioned about water?
The big ones of being water, carbon dioxide, and usually methane, those have to be in there for our basic concepts of life. But the trace elements, also important, can't have gravity too strong. As far as we know, very little would survive in Jupiter's atmosphere because of the substantial pressure. But we also need things to determine like a radiation barrier, like how Mars has a weak atmosphere. The radiation just obliterates anything on the surface, so we need to take that into account. But there's also unique things, like the fact that Europa's water is supposedly underneath a mile of ice means that the ice acts as a shield that both like keeps it contained and allows it to stay warm. So it's going to be tricky, definitely, to determine what exactly, but we've got the basic parameters now.
No, is part of your program the evolution of how life will start there, or you will actually have a life there already?
We're going to compare it to life forms that already exist. We try to find hardy life forms in these extreme conditions and then compare it to the conditions on this hypothetical planet, and if it matches up, we can confidently say there's a possibility there's life there. Yes?
Is there a database of information? I mean, how much information do we have on Europa?
Well, we have two specific sources that we've used, but more's becoming revealed every day because it's actually close enough where we can look past the surface slightly. But for other planets, like under the Kepler project, we have a list of peer-reviewed studies that have hypothesized and studied the extremes to determine whether life can exist on these planets.
So you're going to filter all that information out of those studies and use them as variables?
That's the goal.
And you'll be able to deliver that hopefully by.
If not the full product, at least
At least the start of it.
a showing of what it can
Correct,
do.
yeah, that's great. Any other
There's no more
questions?
questions. I got a question for you guys. Where did we get the name the Fermi Simulation from?
Oh, yeah, where did that from?
Yes.
From the Fermi paradox, which is supposed to say that, like, if civilization is advanced enough, they should send probes to colonize other planets, and then it's a paradox because we haven't seen it anywhere. So, like, it should be from either other civilizations since the universe is so old.
Got it.
Somebody's reading.
Yeah.
Good job. All right. So no more questions. Let's go to the